All praises be to Allah. Assalamu alaikum and greetings, everyone. I am Sister Anisa Muhammad, and my guest, as always, is my ride and die sister, Sister Chantel Muhammad. Welcome to the Minding My Mind podcast under the Closing the Gap Broadcast Network. Again, my guest speaker is Sister Chantel Muhammad. She hails out of the windy city of Chicago, Illinois. And I'm going to just skip to the chase and just read to you all before we get started. Hold on, before we get started, I have to read you all the riot act before I put our beautiful faces up here. All right, we have a medical disclaimer. And it means that all information provided by Sister Anisa Muhammad, Sister Chantel Muhammad on the Closing the Gap Broadcast Network is for informational and educational purposes only. And therefore, it does not replace or supersede any advice given to the listener or reader by his or her primary care provider. Furthermore, Anisa Muhammad, Minding My Mind, and Closing the Gap Broadcast Network, or any other affiliated parties are liable for any sicknesses or wrongful death, be they real or imagined, brought about as a result of deviating from the advice of one's primary care or specialty provider. Thank you all so very much. I really, truly appreciate you for being here. Thank you. All right, Sister Chantel. Assalamu alaikum again. Ramadan
Walaikum
Mubarak.
salam.
It's
Ramadan
good to see your
Kareem.
face. Are you still recovering from Savior's Day?
I am.
All right, everybody. This is going to be fun today. I think it's going to be fun for me. But before we begin on the topic of the science behind the why of how to eat to live, because I think that that is extremely important for us to know and to understand, is so that we can get a better understanding of what the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad wanted us to understand and know as a people, why how to eat to live is so important. And I want to define the word science because I know that word was very prominent during COVID, and they were saying trust the science, trust the science. Okay, listen, to science, the word science only means to know. It means a state of knowing or having knowledge as distinguished from ignorance or misunderstanding. And that is extremely important because a lot of us as a people, our community, we have acquired over time a lot of illnesses that could be prevented and should be taken under consideration, because I know that we don't like being told to do as adults. But when it comes down to your physical and your mental health, somebody need to give us some guidance somewhere, somehow. And so that's why, to me, this is very important. One of the derivations of the word science is sciential. And that which is sciential means that there was an agent involved or an individual involved in producing an effect. So with that being said, I just want to read and share something with the listeners today, right now. And I just want to say this. When Master Farad Muhammad made his presence known to us in the wilderness of North America, he came to teach us the knowledge of all things, and that he did through the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Master Farad Muhammad taught the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad day and night for 3.5 years, and in that period of time, Elijah not only learned the knowledge of God, the knowledge of self, the knowledge of the universe, but he also learned the knowledge and the science of prolonging life. What Master Farad Muhammad taught Elijah is sciential, and that which is sciential, as I mentioned before, produces an effect. And one of the most astounding effects that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad produced is the science of food. And that was written of him in both Bible and Quran, where it says that he came that we may have life and have it more abundantly. Is that right?
Ma'am.
And in his monumental books, How to Eat to Live, book 1 and 2, it was given to him, and it's actually called from God in person, Master Farah Muhammad, and that information was given to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and he gave it to us. And while those two books It is true that they were written in 67 for book one and 72 for book two. But his mission started in 1934. So that means that he was on the scene teaching us the science of food before the scientists and the medical professionals of the Western Hemisphere even knew anything about it. All praises be to Allah. And that's what makes these teachings so special when it comes down to how and why we need to eat what we are asked to eat and so that we can prolong our own lives. And Sister Chantel, I know that you can bear witness to the number of what they call now non-communicable diseases that are out there in our communities now. And whenever they get the healthcare systems and insurance systems get tired of treating the same illnesses, they change the name of them.
Right.
So it went from preventable illnesses to non-communicable illnesses or diseases, as they call them. They can call them what they want, and we can look at them as frivolously as we want. But tonight's discussion will be talking about the creation of the divine color code in nature when it comes to food. And that's one of the things that I had asked you to talk about tonight, because I know that in my studies and mostly in observance, everything that we need nutritionally, as far as nutrients are concerned, is color coded. The same phytochemicals, the same nutrients, and the same vitamins and the same minerals are in the same colored fruits and vegetables. All red fruits and vegetables have the same vitamins and minerals: green, yellow, orange, purple, and blue. They all have the same per the color that they come in. And that's just how divine nature presided. You want to talk about that a little bit, Sister Chantel?
Yes. Yes, ma'am. From
Thank
what I've seen, such as like as we're all familiar with oranges, so we usually equate oranges with what? Vitamin C.
Vitamin C.
And same thing with well, a lot of people may not notice or realize that same thing with lemons. Lemons, it may appear to be yellow, but you know how colors have different hues. So,
Mm-hmm.
but it's all same thing. Citrus, same thing. Vitamin C, tangerines, you name it. So yes, ma'am, you're correct. Um, Fruits and vegetables of the same color or in the same hue, family have similar or the same vitamins and enzymes,
Mm-hmm.
such as you could take grapes, which some grapes are green, some are red, some are purple, and you can correlate that like with eggplant. Eggplant is
Yes.
eggplant is purple,
Mm-hmm.
so they have same qualities, enzymatic qualities, and vitamins as purple grapes.
Yes, ma'am.
So I just find that interesting, but
It is interesting on, on the nerdy side. It's like, for example, when you mentioned oranges, oranges have vitamin C, of course, but they
yes,
also have vitamin A. They have folate in them. And a lot of the nutrients that our bodies need in order for us to prevent heart disease, to control our blood sugar levels, in order for us to be able to make sure that our blood pressure is regulated properly
yes,
by the regulator itself, your hypothalamus, then we need to eat these particular foods that are prescribed for us. And you know what? In How to Eat to Live Book One, you didn't have to get very far. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad said that all fruits
hmm
are good for us to eat.
yes,
And he said it's best eaten raw.
correct.
And on page 5 by itself, I found 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 fruits. That, of course, is more fruits on the planet than just 10.
Right.
But he mentioned apples, oranges, mangoes. He mentioned plums and peaches and tangerines and grapes and
Yes, ma'am.
pomegranates.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. And I'm just learning that oranges have protein, tangerines have protein. It's a minuscule amount, but it's there.
True.
And because it's in this particular fruit, these particular fruits, then it means that it's digested a lot faster. The nutrients can be absorbed a lot faster. And that's
Right.
the beauty of eating what it is that he prescribes for us, especially as it relates to fruit in these books, because the fruits have anti-inflammatory properties. They have antioxidant properties. They, like the folate, for example. Folate is extremely important for cell division. It's extremely important for us for to help to synthesize DNA and RNA. So
And
all
folate
these
is also good for pregnancy too.
of course, yeah, and that is really important because it supports brain function. It supports brain development
Right.
in and of itself. So this listen to what I like with the apples, for example. Now you know
Yes.
they have so many different varieties of apples. Some of them
Yes.
are yellow, some of them are pale pink, some of them are red, some of them are green, but they
Hmm.
all have the same properties in them. They have apples have vitamin C. Apples have vitamin K, vitamin A. And a lot of people, we don't understand that vitamin A is good for eye health. It's good for cell growth. And I know that across the continent of Africa, unfortunately, there's a vitamin A, a lack of it in their diet. And the political part of that, I'm not even gonna get it. And don't make me go down that rabbit hole, Sister Chantel. But it stunts your growth. And
Yes.
a lot of our babies are eventually, by the time they're 5 or 6 years old, they're actually blind because there is no vitamin A in their diet, not on a regular basis. And
Okay.
I think that's kind of sad. And the minerals that is in a simple apple is potassium, magnesium, and you have fiber in an apple, you have antioxidants, and it also acts as an anti-inflammatory
Yes.
edible food. So imagine if we ate more fruit on a daily basis. That's why our doctors and the care providers and clinicians are advising their patients to eat more fresh fruits and vegetables. And many of us often think of that as being, you're nagging me, you're trying to change me, I'm grown
Right.
up, I can
Yes.
eat this, that, and the other.
Right.
But when you don't follow those instructions, which are wise instructions, I think, then it kind of helps to for you contributing to your own demise.
That's true. And also when we don't, as you stated, eat them in their raw state, and if we continue on a regular basis, like some people do this religiously, they'll take fruit and they juice them. And when you juice them, you're basically just intaking primarily the sugars of those fruits. And you're not getting the fiber and all the other nutrients that you stated. Those things are in the pulp, which most people throw out. So now that fruit that you made into a liquid now is quickly absorbed to your body, which is mainly sugar. So as you stated, if we just follow how to live as is, then I'm not saying we're not going to get sick, but we're not going to be as sick. It may not be as detrimental as we are experiencing today.
And it's amazing. Like you can take a medium size or a large apple and you juice it, and in a glass, you only get about this much
That's
juice.
that's it.
And so a medium apple has maybe, or I know a medium carrot, a medium apple, they have anywhere between 35 to 50 grams of sugar. And in order for you to fill up at least an 8-ounce glass, you're eating over 100 grams of sugar in just that one 8-ounce glass, 10-ounce glass of juice. And that's an
Wow,
awful lot of sugar,
that's a lot of sugar.
even
And
if it
what
is coming from a natural state, because
exactly?
the glycemic index, that sugar is going to rush into your body. And even though it may be healthy, it's still not a very good idea, I don't think, to eat that, to
Well,
drink
correct,
sugar.
correct, because our bodies state um, process sugar at just all sugar at equally. So it's not looking at it like, okay, well, this comes from a fruit source. or just comes from a plant source, it's just sugar. So
Yes,
next
ma'am.
thing you know, you may be faced with diabetes or pre-diabetes, and you're trying to figure out how, because you don't eat pastries, you don't eat candy, but yet you're juicing on a regular basis.
Yes, ma'am. And quite a few of the nutrients that are in the simple foods, such as the apple that I mentioned, you have vitamin K, which is good for bone health. It's not just about blood clotting. Vitamin A is good for your vision. It regulates your blood pressure. You have muscle function and potassium. The magnesium helps with muscle function and nerve conduction. So
Yes,
all of
ma'am.
these different things that you have, these nutrients in the foods that are very simple. And I really like the what I learned about the mango. And that's also on page 5. You get vitamin C, vitamin A. You got vitamin B6, you got vitamin um, K, you have folate. It supports gut health. You also have copper in a mango. You have magnesium. You have manganese, and just the copper helps with red blood cell
Red blood cells. Yes,
formation,
yes,
and it gives you enough oxygen for it helps with oxygen transport. You have fruits that and vegetables that have natural iron in them. And if
hmm,
we ate the right food at the right time, the way the Honorable Elijah Muhammad has suggested that we do, we won't need supplements.
correct.
We really won't need the supplements. And mangoes have something in it. It's I don't know if I'm pronouncing this right, but it's nangiferin. I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly. It's a phytochemical
Okay,
that actually feeds the good bacteria in your gut to help with nutrient absorption so that it can go throughout your cells and help your body to absorb the nutrients in all food, not just that mango.
correct. And I just want to put a note on what you said as far as like if we eat the way we're instructed in how to live,
Hmm.
uh, we won't need a supplement. If we are eating one of two things or both, one, primarily, it don't have to be 100%, but primarily organic fruit and vegetables, or we're growing our own fruit and vegetables using heirloom seeds, because we can be eating all the fruit and vegetables that we want, but if it's a GMO product or if it's heavily sprayed with all these detrimental chemicals, we're kind of defeating the purpose, you
Yes,
know.
ma'am.
So we do have to be mindful of these things,
I
unfortunately.
wholeheartedly agree. Yes, ma'am. And for anybody that's on the line listening to this podcast, please feel free to ask questions or drop a heart or something like that in the comments, because it's extremely important that we really understand the why. You
Yeah.
know, the honor we're taught in the Nation of Islam that that little 3-letter word WHY
Yes.
is one of the most important words in a dictionary. Why?
Yes, ma'am.
And why do I ask why? So that I can explain to people a little bit more, with a lot more intelligence in layman's terms, of why
Yes.
it's important that we eat certain fruits and vegetables. It's like peaches, as simple as they are and as good as they are, vitamin A, vitamin C, vitamin K, potassium, manganese, magnesium, iron, fiber, and all of these things, because of its orange color, its rich orange color, it has antioxidant properties, it has anti-inflammatory and anti-cancer properties in it. And especially what you said rings true to me with regard to um, the GMO seeds.
Yes.
We do have to be careful. because even the GMO seeds, they have what they call terminator seeds, which is GMO seeds.
Right.
And that all that means is that you can't keep planting the seed from that peach and get peaches.
Right.
You might get one generation,
That's
but they're
it.
going to also be GMO seeds. But
Right.
the seed from that first generation will not grow anything. And that right there should tell you that that's not how God created things. He
Correct.
made it everything in pairs. There's a male and a female, even in grass, even in
Right.
trees, even in plants.
Mm-hmm.
And they have to reproduce after their own kind. And that's the purpose of the hummingbird. That's the purpose of the bees. That's the purpose of the dragonfly,
Yes.
you know? And a lot of people really have been convinced that our bodies don't know the difference between GMO and natural seeds. I'm sorry, but your body does know.
Your body does know the difference, especially it's been several studies um, proving that
Yes.
these GMO products, I can't even call it food, these products wreak havoc on our system. It destroys the immune system. It destroys the gastrointestinal um, tract. And this is just what they just learning just now. So, but the studies are continuing. But just now, this is what they've come about. So the immune system, which is very important, especially now with everything that's going on. You got RSV that's floating around, the norovirus, flu, and COVID. It just it's so much, and measles. You name it, it's it's out there
A lot of
abundantly.
Yeah, and a lot of the foods that the messenger has asked us to eat that contain vitamin C, that have protein in it, and even the fruits.
Hmm.
Grapes have the highest glycemic index, but they also have the highest content of protein for a fruit.
The highest content of protein.
In a fruit,
That
a grape,
wow. Did
in the
it
fiber.
specify which grape, like which color grape?
No, it doesn't specify, but I do know, however, that it's the deep purple grapes, the Concord grapes, I believe they call them.
Okay.
That's the thickest skin, and it has the highest fiber content, which is extremely important for our gut health.
And I would like to say this to us and to the audience. Whenever we're eating anything, um, because we are, if you can look this up, pretty much number one with chronic disease across the board and on every level. I would personally make sure that I'm eating something high in fiber daily because a lot of our chronic illnesses stem from um, not having regular bowel movements. We're constipated. So,
And that's very true. And there are a lot of people that have um, digestional or what they call gastrointestinal illnesses like Crohn's disease,
yes,
IBD or irritable bowel syndrome, or diverticulosis. Those are illnesses that grossly affect the digestive system. And they
correct.
even, and I think all of those fall under the auspices of what they call the leaky gut syndrome. And for those of you who may not know, the leaky gut syndrome has a lot to do with little tears in pockets inside the lining of your large intestine, maybe your small intestine, but if it affects your large intestine, what will happen is that bacteria from the
Hmm.
fecal matter that has to be expelled from your body, that
Yes,
bacteria can get caught in those little pockets and build up. And that bacteria from that fecal matter, which is nothing more than waste, solid
yes,
waste, it will build up until it makes you sick. And the next thing you know, you're in the hospital. And
correct.
it causes a lot of gastrointestinal distress. You'll be in a hospital for days. And if we eat high fiber food,
Hmm.
then that will really help to take us over the top with regard to our health. And
Yes.
again, we're trying to cover the colors. We talked about a little about orange. We talked a little bit about the red or and the yellow. How about we talk about green
Yes, ma'am.
and fruits and vegetables? Let's give that a shot, shall we? When we're talking about the messenger teaches us and how to eat to live books 1 and 2 about cabbage, asparagus, Brussels sprouts, and broccoli, and the nutrients that are in these particular foods is astounding to me, especially with iron deficiency so prevalent in our community.
Yes.
You
Very
know,
prevalent. Yeah.
yeah. And you know something, sis? With when it comes to eating, there are certain things that will, I call them facilitators or helpers that help your body to absorb these nutrients. And then there are suppressors or things that block the absorption. And the
Hmm.
majority of those things are habitual: coffee,
The caffeine and coffee.
alcohol,
Okay.
tobacco, drugs, even prescription drugs. Because I don't know how many people that are listening that take prescription medications, but if you take a prescription medication of any kind and your care provider also prescribes some sort of supplement, vitamin supplement, most of the time it's calcium and magnesium, because heart medications and other types of medications will deplete your body of these two vital nutrients in order for your cells to function properly. That is why. So it's extremely important that we eat these green vegetables. It's like they have calcium, iron, manganese, magnesium, potassium, and even sodium, sis. A lot of people, or should I say, a lot of the science does not want to admit that we need sodium.
We do.
And if food has a lot of potassium in it, you have to have balance with sodium in order for there to be a fair exchange of sodium and potassium across the cell membranes,
Correct.
because that's what keep our fluid and electrolytes in balance, right?
Correct. Not, but not like how most black. I'm sorry, it just may sound stereotypical, but most black people they think something doesn't taste good if it's not salty. You don't
Mm-hmm.
need that much salt, and Morton's table salt is not salt. So if we are going to consume salt, we need either the Celtic salt, which is like a grayish color,
Mm-hmm.
or the Redmond's real salt. It's a pink color.
Mm-hmm.
Now there was a study done, and all the salt that we consume contains microplastics, all of them. But however, the Celtic salt and the Redmond's real salt, those two brands have the least amount of microplastics. And those two brands, the Celtic salt and the Himalayan pink salt, the real salt, they also feed our cells. They don't deplete our cells like Morton's table salt. It actually feeds our cells. It does not create hypertension. But if you eat too much, yes, you it's all about balance. Um, so yes,
Wow. Is it true that Celtic sea salt, and I'm not sure about the Himalayan pink, also has other trace minerals in it that our bodies need?
correct. And yes, the Himalayan sea salt. I haven't done my research, independent research, but they say has at least 99 trace minerals or more. So,
Hmm. I've actually seen on at some of our events how a capful of Celtic sea salt
mhm.
in a 16-ounce bottle of water, dissolved, actually lowers blood pressure.
Yes,
I've actually seen that.
yes,
I can actually bear witness to that, because it helps with the fluid exchange of sodium and potassium across the cell membranes. And
Right.
that was actually done. Now, I'm going to put this medical disclaimer back on this screen, because if somebody's blood pressure gets up high, I do not want them to try to say that they heard it on Closing the Gap Broadcast Network
Correct.
from Sister Anisa Muhammad of Minding My Mind. I'm telling you what I've witnessed with my own two eyes. That's
Right.
all,
Right.
right?
And and the Celtic sea salt and the Himalayan pink salt, if you get real Himalayan pink salt and real Celtic sea salt, it doesn't contain all those caking agents and all the other stuff that they add to Morton's. So again, if you have Morton's, I wouldn't use it. Find another use for it, um, but not consume it.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And as we're gonna go on, I just wanna I'm excited about this portion. But before we go into the
Yes.
meal planning, so that we can help people to understand the logic of
Yes.
eating, what the messenger of Allah, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, means when he says that we should eat a well-balanced meal,
Yes.
eat it at the right time,
Yes.
and eat the foods that he prescribed in the book. So we're gonna make a plate for y'all. So I hope y'all ready for it, right? But I have to share this real quick. The fruit that contains proteins. You have avocados,
Hmm.
guavas, blackberries, kiwis, jackfruit, apricots, bananas, cherries, oranges, grapefruit, cantaloupe, peaches, raspberries, pomegranates, strawberries, passion fruits, and I wrote cherries twice. But just listen to that array of flavor, that array of colors.
Yes.
And it's fruit that has protein in it. I'm not
Yes.
saying it's got the same amount of protein as a quarter pound of beef, but it has. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that it contains protein, and it has the good quality of protein in it that can help with the on a cellular level, to
Hmm.
help the ribosomes inside your cells, to help to synthesize the protein as it's coming into the cell. Does that make sense?
Yes, ma'am.
All praises be to Allah. All praises be to Allah. You know, brothers and sisters, those of you who are listening, Sister Chantel and I were playing a little game this morning, and we came up with a meal plan. Okay, so what would the plate look like that would be healthy? You know, um, for our people, what would it look like? And so
Okay.
I made up a meal. Chantel made up a meal. So we're gonna tell y'all about our meals. Can I go first?
Yes,
Or you
ma'am.
go first?
No, go ahead.
Okay. This is my meal: a bowl of navy bean soup, a 3-ounce piece of salmon roasted, cabbage, carrots, 1 slice of whole wheat bread. And for my dessert, I'm gonna eat some slices of plum. Okay. Now I'm gonna tell you the nutrients that's in every last one of these items that's on my plate. For the navy bean, you have vitamin B1, vitamin B9. You have calcium, copper, iron, magnesium, potassium, phosphorus, selenium, and zinc, right? Healthy. In salmon, you have vitamin B2, B3, B5, as well as omega 3 and omega 6, which is something that our bodies need as far as quote unquote healthy fats. In cabbage, you have vitamin B6, as well as multiple anti inflammatory phytochemicals. And please excuse me, I forgot about the medium sized baked potato. It sounds like a lot of food. But we're not talking about our Aunt Hattie's portion sizes. We're talking about reasonable portion size because in Big Mama house, they would take that big serving spoon and just pile stuff on our plate. And that's how we got used to eating serving sizes so huge, and that's contributing to our obesity. So we're just gonna do some reasonable serving sizes, okay? One medium baked potato with the skin on has I'm sorry, potassium, vitamin C, B6, B3, manganese, and phosphorus. So are you following the logic behind the why, the science behind the why, or
That's right.
what's in our food when we eat right? The carrots, vitamin A, vitamin B3 and B7. A slice of whole wheat bread have every B vitamin that we can possibly eat, have or need. And it came through the whole wheat flour, real whole wheat flour,
That's right.
not anything that's fortified with vitamins.
Hmm. Hmm.
And then you have healthy organic corn oil and eggs and milk inside that the making of that loaf of bread that gave you that slice. So everything in it is healthy. And the messenger of Allah said that we can live off of pure milk, whole wheat bread, and a bowl of bean soup. And with all of those nutrients that I shared with you that's in that bean soup, I understand the why behind how to eat to live. Now, I chose slices of plum for my dessert because it has vitamin A, vitamin C, vitamin K. It has the vitamin B2 in it. It has potassium, iron, copper, fiber, and magnesium in it. I mean, just imagine eating the right size portions or serving sizes of each one of these foods that I put on my plate for my meal. And if I ate like that once a day, every day, I wouldn't need to go to the doctor. Do y'all understand why the Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught us what he did? We should give
Right.
praise, thanks for what Master Farad Muhammad taught him about how we can prolong our life. When he came, y'all know we was eating sweet potatoes and hog maws and chitlins and all kinds of stuff. But God gave us a better diet so that he can reverse the damage that was caused to us from generation to generation from the time that our feet set foot in the wilderness of North America. So I'm grateful. I don't know about you.
Yes, ma'am. And also, just to add on to what you were saying, how can we be gods or striving to become God,
Mm-hmm.
eating junk, eating slop? Since when did God eat slop? So,
Girl, don't.
so
We're not gonna go down the nerd rabbit hole tonight to talk about the power of the food and the minerals and the vitamins that we just talked about, as it
yes,
specifically relates to brain function and
yes, ma'am.
neurotransmitters and clarity of thought, right?
That's
Because
right. That's
that's
right.
a 3 week topic in and of itself. Tell me what's
Yes.
on your plate, sis.
Okay, so we are taught in How to Live, the best time to eat is between 4 and 6 p.m. Everyone's schedule is different. So if you can, 4 to 6. If not, you want to find a time frame that you can try to stick to on a regular basis. And you wonder why 4 to 6? Our bodies um, correlates with the circadian rhythm. If you all want to look that up, circadian rhythm. And what that is, 4 o'clock, your kidneys work at its optimum level at 4 p.m. And between 5 and 6 p.m., your eliminative channels are at its peak. So that means your liver is at its optimum peak between 5 and 6. So my meal for vegetarians, I have two options. One option, you have, of course, the bean soup. You want to start with the bean soup, but then you have
Yes.
your steamed cauliflower mixed with steamed broccoli, and brown rice, and toast is optional. Second option, again, bean soup, eggplant parmesan, and a vegetable, steamed vegetable of your choice. Now, as far as the eggplant goes, well, excuse me, I'm going to go for cauliflower. Cauliflower, as Sister Anissa mentioned, a lot of these vegetables have basically the same qualities: vitamin C, vitamin K, fiber, um, and also it's good for digestive health, potentially cancer, anti-cancer agents to help, uh, and it's a detoxifier.
Oh, yes, ma'am.
Basically, it's full of fiber. Both. So
Yes,
both
yeah.
broccoli and cauliflower. And I say steam because steaming retains vitamins and nutrients that's greatly needed when we steam our vegetables. And so vegetables are on the flip side. We talked about having leaving the fruit raw. On the flip side, you want to have your vegetables steamed. You want to put some heat to your vegetables. And the reason why, because when we eat our vegetables steamed, boiled, whatever, baked, you're opening up that vegetable to release vital vitamins and nutrients. We are not raw foodists. We are not vegans. So, and when I say we're not vegans, like with the eggplant parmesan, that requires cheese, dairy cheese, because cheese, particularly Munster cheese, high in vitamin K,
Come on. Teach,
high in
sis.
vitamin
Yes,
K.
ma'am.
So, um, oh gosh, I just lost my thought, but yes. So those are my two options, my vegetarian options.
Yes, ma'am. You know, one of our listeners made a comment, and I'm going to share the comment, and I'm also going to share my response.
Yes, ma'am.
It says, aren't potatoes, according to the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, for people in frigid zones? The answer to that question is yes, that is what he wrote in How to Eat to Live. But
Hmm.
people in frigid zones need nutrients also. If they live in a frigid zone, then that just means they live someplace where it's extremely cold. And if there is any fat content that is retained in that, fat helps to insulate the body.
Yeah.
But he never told any of us, no matter what zone that we live in, to overeat. He never said that.
And also if they want to state what the messenger said regarding potatoes, it wasn't just potatoes across the board. I believe, if I remember it correctly, he said the brown potatoes, the roasted potatoes. So you have red potatoes. So so you just have to
Yeah.
be careful when we're trying to quote the messenger. um,
And that's why this show is called The Why, the science
yes,
of the why. Because we're delving into why he gave us the food that he gave us in the book.
yes,
He
ma'am.
has asked us repeatedly not to overindulge in anything. He said
And
our
anything.
main problem is we eat too much of the wrong food too
Yes,
many times a day and not at the right time. So he
yes,
encourages us to eat the right food at the right time. That's something that's a constant in both those books.
that's right. And also how to prepare certain foods. Like I mentioned,
Yes.
brown rice. Brown rice. A lot of diabetics stay away from rice. However, if we do it the way the messenger taught us, you put put the rice in water, you rinse it till the water becomes clear, and then you're gonna brown the rice in the oven. And a lot of that process removes most, if not all, of two things: the starch, which
Mm-hmm.
spikes the glucose levels, and it also greatly reduces the arsenic that is in all rice.
Yes, ma'am. And I want to spell that for you because I know that it It sounds if you're explaining the color. It's browned,
Brown.
Browned, where
Thank
you
you.
put it in an oven or on top of the stove with a little oil, and you keep stirring it until the rice turns the color from white to brown.
Yes.
And the
So,
messenger of Allah also says that it prevents the rice from buckling
mhm.
in your stomach, meaning it won't swell twice the size, because don't forget, rice is a grain, and all grains double in size or triple in size, depending upon how much moisture is in it. That's why he asked us to cook it the way that he did. And I'm glad that you're emphasizing the importance of steaming the vegetables and not cooking them too long, because sometimes you can cook the nutrients out of the food.
Yes, ma'am.
And, and that's why leftovers, my children I never really had leftovers before. Bean soup, maybe, chili if I made it.
Yeah.
But number one, my children ate good. So I very seldom had anything left over to leave over for the next day.
Right.
But there's the purpose of eating is for nutritional purposes. And there is no nutritional value left in leftovers, because when you reheat them, you've already cooked the majority of the nutrients out of those vegetables, and that's the beauty of having those fruits there, because that actually is going to be my supper. That's what I want to eat. It's just some fruit.
Yes, ma'am. And and that's another thing.
Yeah.
You know, um, so any of the audience members that like to eat meat, they may be meat eaters. That's
Mm-hmm.
fine. But you want to make sure you have some pineapples around, because the pineapples contain bromelain, and that bromelain breaks down the meat in your digestive system faster than as if you didn't eat have the
The
bromelain. Because
pineapple.
when you eat meat, it sits in your digestive system between 12 to uh, 36 hours.
It does.
So
And
when
I
you
think
eat the
that's important.
pineapple, it
Mm-hmm.
eliminates it faster.
That is important, that we know how long it takes our bodies to digest certain foods. Simple carbohydrates, I think, within an hour.
Yes,
Complex carbohydrates, 3 to 5 hours. Proteins and meats, it takes anywhere, just like you said, between 12 and maybe 32 hours, depending upon how much meat you have eaten,
right.
how it was prepared, and how much of it,
Yes,
how many serving sizes. It's like there's a different weight to a 3 ounce piece of salmon versus a 3 or 4 pieces of 3 ounce salmon. Does that make sense? And if we really stop and think about how we're trained in this country to eat certain ways, imagine this: you have either a glass of orange juice or a glass of milk with pancakes, eggs, bacon, and or sausage in the morning for breakfast, generally between the hours of 6 and, I'm going to say, 8:30 in the morning. You have your early afternoon snack before lunch, which could be some junk food at around 11:30, and yet your body has not digested what you had at breakfast. Then you're eating lunch again between 12 and 2. Then you're having a big deli sandwich, or you're going to a fast food place and getting a big quarter burger and some fries or something like that. And you're getting something that's semi heavy, and you still have morning, early afternoon snack and breakfast still in your stomach, undigested. Then you have your 3 o'clock snack. Then you go home, and between the hours of 6 and 8 p.m., you're eating a heavy dinner. So when you wake up that next morning, brothers and sisters, the food that you ate yesterday is still in your stomach, partially digested. The
hmm
nutrients have not been absorbed properly because what you ate is preventing the absorption rate.
right.
And depending upon the nutritional content of what you ate, you may not be absorbing any minerals whatsoever, because a lot of us are eating soy products, genetically modified soy products. And soy is not a good thing, no matter what they tell you. Soy is not a good thing for you to constantly eat. Meat, if it's not from an animal, if it's not carne, meaning from a carcass, I'm sorry, it's not meat. It's not. They can fix it up and make it taste and look like it, but it's not. It's like it's not milk if it didn't come from a mammary gland. We have to be thinkers today. We have to understand the science behind why the Honorable Elijah Muhammad gave us these books. He gave them to us primarily because he was being obedient to the God that taught him. God said, this is what you tell the people. I said, this is what's best for them to eat. And who is better to know how we should eat and what we should eat and when we should eat it than God? You know, Sister Shante, do you have any closing remarks that you want to make and comments about how you think this show went today?
Yes, well, my closing remark is I'm so glad you brought up a couple of comments, such as the leaky gut. You brought up leaky gut. So when we eat wheat, whole wheat, we want to make sure that it's an ancient wheat. If it's going to say Khorasan, start with a K, Khorasan.
Mm-hmm.
That means it's like you ever heard of heirloom tomatoes? So
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
so Khorasan is an ancient wheat, and it's not GMO. It hasn't doesn't have emulsifiers and all these things. That's a huge contributor to leaky gut syndrome. And
Mm-hmm.
also, you mentioned things that cancel out each other. So if I'm anemic, I'm eating um I'm eating a salad, a spinach salad with spinach. That calcium, it could come from cheese, it can come from ranch dressing. That calcium is going to cancel out the iron in that spinach. So we just have to learn. We have to become food scientists, basically.
Basically, and the messenger told us in How to Eat to Live that we can have some spinach, just don't eat a lot of it.
Just don't eat a
Because
lot.
spinach, just like kale,
Yes,
absorbs toxins.
yes,
So, you know, we shouldn't eat a whole lot. I like spinach just slightly sauteed, onion,
yes,
garlic, that's it.
yes.
And that's something else we forgot to mention, beloved. The
Spinach,
benefits of the good spices that we paprika, turmeric, garlic,
cayenne pepper.
onions, cayenne pepper. So
Yes,
we combine our foods with these spices.
yes,
We are really doing our bodies a favor because some of the spices help us to digest the stuff that we're eating anyway. Oh, we
that's
can
right.
go on and on. We can be up here till
But
the cows come home talking
yes,
about this. You know, and I'm really enjoying this show
yes, ma'am. So am I.
because it just means a lot. It's like it's just refreshing. And, you know, and it really means a lot to me because I do health education and I do help and I talk to patients that are basically they hard-headed, stiff-necked and rebellious. And all of them are not my patients. A lot of them, you know, I may not ever see them. But anytime you have more fast food restaurants in your community than you do places, safe
Hmm.
places for people to go to the store and buy good food. I'm
Yes,
sorry, but that's a food desert and that's a problem.
and
And
that's on purpose.
yes, but the kicker, sister, is that I find very funny, haha, and funny peculiar sometimes, is people have cars
Yeah,
and they will drive for hours.
Hmm.
for a sporting event, for a concert, but they
Yes.
will not drive 45 minutes out of their way to go to a store to get some good food.
Right. Right.
You know,
Understand that our health, that's the best investment you're going to ever make. So sometimes you are going to spend a little bit more on some food items. You are. That's just how it is today. Because if I can go to this grocery store and I got all these coupons and I'm so-called saving money, but in the long run, I'm not saving money because now my health is ruined. Now I got all these doctor's bills and so on. It's a snowball effect when I could have
yeah,
just invested in my health at this grocery store or seek out a farmer's market, seek out a local farmer, seek out the Amish. So,
girl. And you know something, sis, honestly, the motivating factor behind the topic for today's discussion is a result of my looking at and studying the political climate in this country. I'm looking at the rain, the hail, the snow, the earthquakes. I'm looking at the tornadoes. I'm looking at the torrential rains and the fires and the wildfires. I'm looking at the political climate where you have unwanted tariffs
hmm.
being charged on imports and exports,
Yes.
right? And in a few days, it's going to be just like it was during COVID, if not worse. And if we learn to eat now and learn to can the right kinds of food, then we will be able to survive. Or should I say, two of the most important components in cases of stress and emergency, and it both is rooted in the neurological system, and that's making sure that your fluid and electrolyte balance and your neurotransmitters are functioning properly, and that's controlled by the regulator, the hypothalamus, which is in the brain.
That's
And
right.
if we don't eat the right kinds of food to get the nutrients that we need, then we're going to be in trouble. And we really have to take those things under consideration. People are, adults are going to do what adults do,
Yes.
but God's promise is true. This is not Anissa and Chantel trying to tell y'all what to do.
No.
We're just sharing with you the logic and the science behind the why God prescribes certain foods for us to eat. And it's for our benefit. And we really need to follow the advice so that we will stay healthy. You want to live? You want to be strong? Because in a few days, there's a possibility that the health insurance you have will be no more. And if we get into the habit of eating healthy now, then we will be disciplined enough
Right.
to be able to go and still stay strong with what it is that we have. That's all.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you all so much for tuning in to Minding My Mind podcast. And minding my mind to a healthier me is nothing more than delving into how to eat to live and how it fits you, mind, body, and spirit. Thank you, Sister Chantel, for always being here for me and for being a guest on this show. Thank you for those of you that tuned in. And most importantly, I want to thank Closing the Gap Broadcast Network for allowing me the honor to be on their network. Assalamu alaikum. You all have a great day. In the extreme now. Okay, we